You're watching news headlines on mining.com. China is reportedly preparing a new licensing system that will keep tight controls on rare earth exports to U.S. defense-linked companies. The Wall Street Journal reports the so-called validated end-user framework would fast-track exports to vetted firms with no military ties while maintaining strict scrutiny over dual-use materials. Now, the move follows Beijing's decision to ease broader export bans on rare earths as part of a trade truce with Washington. Magnets made from these materials are vital for electric vehicles, electronics, and weapon systems. Analysts say the plan allows China to honor its deal with the U.S. while protecting its national security interests. European buyers are scrambling for aluminum after a major smelter outage in Iceland and ahead of new EU carbon taxes. Premiums on duty-paid aluminum have jumped to about $324 a tonne. Now that's the highest since January, as importers race to secure supplies. Century Aluminum's Grundartangi smelter, which supplies much of Europe, has slashed output by 2/3 after an electrical failure that could take a year to fix. Iceland is the EU's second largest supplier after Mozambique, sending more than 240,000 tonnes this year. Traders say buyers are front-loading shipments before the EU's carbon border levy on metals takes effect in 2026. UN nuclear inspectors say they are deeply concerned about Iran's growing cache of neo-weapons-grade uranium and its continued denial of access to key sites bombed earlier this year by the United States and Israel. The International Atomic Energy Agency says it hasn't verified Iran's fuel stockpile since June, 5 months after UN sanctions demanding an enrichment halt were reinstated. Director General Rafael Grossi called Tehran's refusal to account for the uranium's whereabouts a matter of serious concern. Satellite images show the strikes destroyed large parts of Iran's nuclear infrastructure and rolled back decades of UN oversight. The Western governments fear Iran's nuclear advances could reignite tensions across the Middle East and destabilize global energy markets. A U.S. congressional committee says China has used its dominance in critical minerals as an economic weapon to distort global markets and expand geopolitical influence. In a 50-page bipartisan report, the House Select Committee on China accused Beijing of manipulating mineral prices to undercut Western miners and drive manufacturing growth at home. The report recommends new legislation to impose price controls and expand oversight of commodities exchanges, including the London Metal Exchange, which it claims is vulnerable to Chinese influence. Committee Chair John Mulinar said China's practices have driven American miners out of business and threatened national security. That's his quote. Beijing has previously dismissed such accusations, saying Washington is exaggerating its export controls and spreading panic over rare earth supplies. Fortune Minerals has received $3.8 million Canadian dollars in loans from Prosper NWT, a public agency of Northwest Territories, and that's to finalize its purchase of a refinery site in Lamont County, Alberta. The facility will process concentrates from the company's flagship Nico Cobalt Gold Bismuth Copper project in the NWT. Earlier this year, Fortune also received $7.5 million Canadian dollars from Natural Resources Canada and $6.3 million from the U.S. Department of Defense to advance engineering and expand cobalt production capacity. CEO Robin Gord says securing the Alberta site marks a key step towards construction and strengthens Canada's northern critical minerals supply chain. Well, that's where we leave your news headlines for now.